Yeah. Because before we get into it, I have a bone to pick with you. First syllable of everyone's favorite country.
I was considering putting everyone's second favorite country, just for a little intrigue as to what the first could be.
Rhyme or free, it doesn't matter to me. It's my bad poetry. Good day, and welcome to My Bad Poetry, a podcast where we take a deep dive into our poems from youth, yesteryear, or even yesterday, always asking the question, why in the world did I write this? I'm Aaron.
And I'm Dave.
And today we have with us the writer behind such works as The Mask and Patron Saints. Oh wait, those were just poems that she shared with us last time. A hilarious, observant tweeter of all things parental and poetic, who once had a viral tweet featured on a BuzzFeed article. She has written for many more well-accomplished things and pursuits, and Frances Klein, save me from this mess. Welcome back to My Bad Poetry.
Thank you for having me. So about the tweet that was in the BuzzFeed article, one of my high school math teachers pinned me down in the store and was like, I read something you wrote. And I was like, oh, what was it about? She was like, Alaska. And I was like, oh my God, that could be anything. And so I'm trying to go through, I'm like, was it an article? Was it a poem? She's like, it was about Alaska. And it turned out to be talking about that tweet. And I was like, that's not.
That's hilarious.
Like, you didn't read my poetry. You didn't read any of this. You just found a tweet. Cool.
A tweet. Yeah.
How does it feel to be a viral tweeter?
It's always an accident. It's never. I'm currently have notifications for Twitter muted because I tweeted a picture of my child's Catholic school assignment. He was supposed to draw, there was like a maze, and one direction could go to a bird and one direction could go to Jesus, and he started to go to Jesus and then looped around and went to the bird. Which, when I asked him about it, he was like, yeah, some people pick Jesus, but you could pick the bird.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 option there.
Yeah. Sure. Three in one.
That's true. It could be the spirit there. That's the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Just a little more advanced than the other kids in his theological understanding.
Yes.
It's a great understanding of the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Is there anything in that entirely butchered intro that I might have missed that you want to lift up to our dear listeners?
Among all of my really, really pretty bad poetry, I have a few books out previously. I have one called The Best Secret and one new and permanent. And then I have two coming out. I have one chapbook called Text Messages from the Angel Gabriel that comes out next month.
Nice.
And I have one called I Have Never Wanted Another Life that comes out next year. So I actually got up, I live in Alaska, and I got up at 5 o'clock this morning. Well, I got up at 4 o'clock this morning because I had a 5 o'clock meeting with my editor for the Angel Gabriel chapbook.
Nice.
Yeah. So those of you that live on Eastern time get a lot of preference for time zone stuff.
That seems terrible.
Yeah. It is. It's the Eastern time zone world, and the rest of us just live in it.
Were you in the meeting with the editor during the great earthquake of the East Coast?
It must not have happened yet, because I think I saw tweets about it afterwards.
I was at a children's museum this morning, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
There was an earthquake between Philadelphia and New York, and it was felt on a lot of the Eastern Seaboard.
Well, Willikers.
Mm-hmm. My brother's outside of Pennsylvania, and I was like, did you feel an earthquake? He's like, yeah, I was just eating a cookie. I'm like, that's not a relevant detail, but thank you.
That's a super relevant detail. The earth was shaking, and I almost dropped a chocolate chip. Terrifying.
Maybe you should stop eating cookies. It sounds like it makes the earth mad.
Yeah. That is not a coincidence.
Mm-mm. 1-to-1 correlation.
Yeah. Well, we're recording with you during earthquake. Your episode's dropping during the eclipse. I think we're just in the apocalypse here.
Yeah, for sure. And after I read the first one that I read, you're going to be glad.
Well, there we go. There we go.
You're like, yeah, no, We don't deserve nice things.
Yeah. Let's just switch this off.
Yep.
Well, Dave, let's bring about the end of the world by you bringing us into the realm of poetry with whatever you've hastily written this week.
Okay. I would just like to say I hate this podcast because it is making me take poetry seriously, and that's bothering me. Mm-hmm. Today is my daughter's birthday, so I have a lot of like big emotions about that.
Dave, I thought it was your birthday. Sorry to cut.
It is also my birthday.
Yeah. Way to.
We bury the lead.
I don't like celebrating my birthday, so I say that my daughter gave me the best gift because now I don't have to give a crap about my birthday.
Look at you being
It's
so
just her
sweet.
birthday now.
Okay.
So this is a poem called To My Daughter, with love and anticipation for who you will grow up to be. There once was a man from Kalamazoo who knew how to make a train say choo-choo. He pulled on the chain and said make it rain, but this won't make a cow say moo.
Oh, tiny claps from friends. Yeah.
I know.
I want to honor the emotion and the vulnerability. And
Thank you.
Dave, you're really returning to your roots with this one.
Yeah.
I wasn't around this morning because we were off doing birthday things, and then I was running late, and I'm like, I gotta write something. My daughter likes trains. Okay, cool.
You dug into your core, and you found the poetic form that is really, at the heart what we go to in childhood, which is the limerick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Look at you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In my work, because I work in a residential facility for 11 to 18-year-olds, I spent a lot of time affirming. I do a lot of affirming, so I get lots of practice. Yeah. So next, Dave, I'm going to tell you that it's okay to have big feelings, but it's not okay to throw things.
That is a good lesson to learn.
Very good life lesson here. Yeah.
Okay, Dave, I see you're 34 years old, but you need to deal with your big emotions. Do you need to blow out the candles?
Yeah. Smell the flower.
Smell the flower. Blow out the candles.
Are the last lines in that a reference to like a spelling thing? Or what are those called? The toy where you like point it at the...
like the speak and spell, like to pull down
the thing.
Where you like crank it.
Yeah. I was channeling my childhood and not just thinking about pulling on a cow's tail and yelling, make it rain.
Okay, so it's more, the creative process is more like free association.
Yeah.
SoundCloud, I get it.
Free association implies there's thought behind it, or like a functioning brain doing work, rather than, I got nothing. I'm going to throw words onto this Google Doc and see if it makes a sentence.
You didn't write it into the birthday card?
No.
You really should have, Dave. That's a missed opportunity there.
Okay, I'll work on that next year.
It is a fun little limerick. I mean, I'm sure it would make your daughter laugh.
I did get her approval right before this, putting her down for her nap. I read this to her, and I said, "Do you like Daddy's poem?" And she said, "Yeah."
Yeah, I'd take it.
With that much excitement. It was great.
Well, from hastily written intro to hastily written poem, we now get, Frances, your what looks like very thought out, very structured mess here called Doppelganger. Dave, what just turned on in your house there, Dave?
Sorry. Someone is at my front door and my wife just flushed the toilet.
Okay. Well, Dave, you might need to mute for like the next hour because this is a mess.
I'm late. I wrote a terrible limerick and now there's a toilet. Okay.
So I will say that for my almost 5-year-old, that would be just perfect. Like if the limerick could have a toilet in it, it would be, oh my God, so much better.
There you go.
There we go. Not moo, but poo.
Potty humor.
Yeah.
To save
potty humor.
Yep.
It's the correct way to go.
Yep.
100%.
When it's how?
Sorry, we can actually get back to you doing, real poet stuff.
Real. Oh God. So here's the question. Do you want context first.
Oh, no.
No. Okay. So, no context, written entirely seriously with the goal of publication.
Ooh, even better.
Here is Doppelganger. Definition: an apparition or double of a living person. From the other side of the airport, I see her, my doppelganger. Taller, more slender, legs that don't seem to end, wrapped in fine leather boots and a tailored coat. Uninterested in the play of humanity playing out in the terminal around her. Every fern in the forest reaches for the light the canopy denies it. All 5'4" of me slouches in sweatpants and sneakers, and I people watch like my life depends on it, because it does. The ravens commiserate in the cedars. Her honey blonde hair is perfectly in place, not a hair out of place, the lightest touch of makeup on endless cheekbones. Each tide pool cradles a whole universe in miniature. I run my fingers through the insistent frizz of my mud brown locks, never conditioned quite right, in limbo between curly and wavy, refusing to follow directions. A bear stumbles from its den, raises its nose to the fresh air of spring. She passively flips the pages of a magazine, something glossy and shallow, something with advice for going from day to evening, and page after page of perfume ads. Salmon swim hundreds of miles, pulled like a magnet to the source of their birth. On the table in front of me is a dog-eared book, margins thick with the ideas that spill out of me and onto the page, a flood of words and thoughts that link me to something greater than myself. When I lock eyes with her, I feel the universe double, expand, contract, and end.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I so love the concept of this poem, but what?
Why the
So the context for this is that I probably wrote this when I was about 19.
Okay.
And I think I talked about this the last time I was here. The first poems I ever wrote were for my application to my senior thesis in college. And I read, I think, one of them, and they're really bad. And the thesis advisor just like put up with me because somebody had to. So previous to leaving college, the only poetry writing experience I had was guided pretty heavily by a professor, like giving me a lot of feedback and like making me rein in my worst impulses. And then I left college and continued to write poetry with no bumpers. There's no guardrails. There's nothing keeping me from
this.
So
this is incredible because with that context in mind, it feels like you're doing everything. Like there's the title with the definition underneath.
Did I think that people didn't know what the word meant? Like, yes, right?
Right. I mean, I've seen that done to some degree of success. I mean, there are poems and even like movies and stuff, which will start with like a title card that you give that definition and it kind of like, it sets the scene a little more. This one, yeah, I mean, Doppelganger, I think is pretty well known, right?
It would be like giving the definition of like the term déjà vu or something.
Yeah.
But even then you could do something with that, like, you know, déjà vu, and then you give the definition, and then the poem ends with the definition of déjà vu.
Some nice.
But like, this is just a definition.
Next week. That's next week's poem.
There we go. Go for it, Dave.
I don't know. I'm pretty stuck on limericks, so.
But then we have these lovely opening. Lines? I mean,
that was a word you were struggling for.
I was gonna say salvo or like, I mean, just like
establishing something. So this is a visual medium. So it's important to me that people understand that the first line reads, "From the other side of the airport, I see and then I must have hit tab like 5 times
Yeah.
to just like get out to the middle of the white space for just to have the word her like way out there by itself. That was real important
Oh, yeah.
to
This.
at the time. Here's my other thing. My understanding of the concept of a doppelganger is that they are supposed to look exactly like the person.
Like identical, like a
Identical.
twin.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be the same person. And that is not this.
No, a doppelganger that's taller than you, that looks different than you, that is like the same person, but doesn't look anything like you.
So
Yeah, I
just
get that.
saw a stranger.
You literally start with 2 comparisons that differentiate
Yeah.
appearance.
Different color hair, taller, more fashion sense. So we're missing that. So apparently the definition was for me, and I wrote it down and then entirely ignored it.
You're breaking expectations. You know.
Yeah,
That's
listen, just
yeah.
you got to subvert those expectations. You got to establish and then change. That's poetry.
Yeah. So you did that. Well done.
Yeah. So then you're the fern that can't reach the canopy of the doppelganger who is not.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because the bear. I think I just thought that poems had to have nature stuff.
Okay.
Like, you got to have the nature references in there. They don't need to be connected.
No.
It doesn't need to be relevant at all. It's just there. It's just intermission.
You feel the universe double. Okay, so I'm going to your last line as a
Yeah.
possible explanation here of this chance encounter at an airport is somehow mirrored or shown in nature itself.
So that would make more sense, I think, if. That would make more sense to me if there were 2 animals in the sequences, right? So if we're looking for opportunities for revision, if I were to see this in a workshop and the poor misguided person who brought it was looking for some feedback, I would say, like, so the nature imagery is interesting, but what if there were like 2 salmon or 2 bears or multiple tide pools? No.
Yeah, anything that would mirror or be a doppelganger
Double. Yeah.
to the
As opposed to just
the scene.
not relevant.
Have you ever seen Terrence Malick's Tree of Life?
No.
Oh, this is giving me Tree of Life vibes. It's a small town story about a family that's in mourning, and then like there's also these wide shots of the universe and like dinosaurs, and it's out there, but it's a little more grounded than I would say.
Than this. Yeah. So I assume you're both Taylor Swift scholars.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. This gives me "You Belong With Me" vibes.
She wears short skirts. I wear t-shirts.
Yeah. It
She's a bear that stumbles into her den. I'm more of a salmon that swims upstream.
I mean, I think we all know that the original lyrics to that song were "She wears short skirts, I'm a bear. She's cheer captain and I'm a salmon swimming hundreds of miles."
I would pay so much money to have someone like make that a song. Oh, I love that concept so much.
It very much has the feeling of the like, pick me, I'm not like other girls. Like, this girl is a pretty empty-headed magazine reader, and
You've
I
got
have
that
a book.
dog-eared book.
I know.
You're the Natalie Portman with headphones on.
Yeah. And she's just looking at a cosmopolitan.
But there still seems to be envy in this.
Yeah, for sure. Which is not, I would say, so again, hypothetical feedback. There are some areas to refine for tone.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wanted to make some changes, maybe either pick envy or what would be the word for that? Disgust,
Yeah,
superiority,
judgment.
judgment,
Yeah.
being a pretty, what my mother would call a judgy bear.
Back to the bears.
A
Bear.
judgy bear.
Being judgy
A
bear,
judgmental
stumbling out of the
salmon.
den. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say
Huh.
salmon are always turning their noses down at things.
I don't know that they have noses.
Yeah, they have that hook nose.
They have like the hook nose.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do have the
Yeah.
hook. I
don't
guess
know
I
if it's-
shouldn't talk.
I don't know if it's like a nose, really. Just the front of their face. They're not breathing.
Don't they smell their way up the river? Isn't that? Am I insane? I thought they followed.
Those two
No.
things aren't mutually exclusive, Aaron.
I don't know how they do that, and I should, because a pretty core component of Alaskan education is salmon facts.
Is that what your
important
ACT is on? It's like just the salmon facts.
Okay, so we have the high school graduation qualifying exam, like the test that you have to pass to graduate from high school. When I took it in 10th grade, the prompt was like, write an essay about your favorite Alaskan animal.
Dude.
Did you
Yeah.
write on the salmon?
No, I wrote about crab.
Oh.
Oh, nice.
They didn't even make it into this poem.
I know.
What's up with that?
Listen, there's lots of opportunities for revision. Like, I am the sort of poem can be saved.
Yeah, maybe instead of the tide pool cradled in a universe, you go back to an animal cradled in a tide pool, because you have raven, bear, salmon, and then you just have these random tide pools in a universe.
I'm thinking big picture here.
Ah, yeah.
You gotta start small and then go big and then go small again. That's also
And then
poetry.
double the universe at the end.
And then double or nothing. That is the actual template for writing any poem. You start small and then you go universe big and then you get small and then you double it.
Well, there you go.
There.
I'm so glad I learned this.
So you start small with the train and then you go big, train universe. The Thomas the Train cinematic universe. Then you go to little again. You just focus on the ways in which James is jealous of all the other trains. I'm sorry, I'm revealing too much of my Thomas the Train knowledge. And then you go to two trains.
I could not be more proud. That's awesome.
I was about to say that this poem is no thoughts, just vibes, but I think it was too many thoughts and not enough vibes. And yeah, it was just like, I have no memory of writing this, but I could see myself being pretty proud of it.
That's fair.
Probably sent it to like Poetry Magazine or something.
As
Sure.
one should.
They deserve to have to deal with this.
Do you want to explain the double backslashes?
No.
No? Okay. we'll just leave those hanging there.
I can. So here's my only theory.
Okay.
My only theory is that in like literary fiction, it's pretty common to see writers separate like scenes with either a backslash or a hashtag, right? You'll see that marked out between scenes. I don't know if that's what I thought I was doing. If I did, that's wrong, because there's not a scene. There's not a scene break.
Right. It's still in the airport.
Yeah, I think, I'm sure I had a reason. And I'm sure I thought it was a really good one.
Did you ever do any musical things? Because, like, I saw those as, I don't remember what they're called, but the railroad marks in music.
Caesuras.
Sure.
Caesura, yeah.
I totally knew that word.
An extended pause.
So I was in like choir, and but I wouldn't have known that. I would not have been like, here's a musical mark.
I'm trying to be helpful. Just say, yeah, Dave, you're right. That's exactly my genius.
I wasn't just in jazz choir, like bopping along to, whatever ancient.
Yeah, I
songs
kind
we
of
were
doubt a
singing.
jazz choir would have a caesura.
Oh, no.
How many more times can Aaron say caesura in
Isn't
this
that
episode?
Isn't that fun? It's like an opposite of a fermata.
Just start rolling the R. So I really want to draw our attention back to the caesura. Makes it sound fancier.
That's incredible.
It's hard to sound more pretentious than Aaron,
Yes!
but
You've done it. You've beaten me at my own game.
And actually,
impressive
so
work.
the fun fact is that means I win this podcast, and you have to stop.
There you go. You are
win
now the
your
host.
hosting
I
duty.
give you the
Yep.
headphones. There you go.
Yeah.
You have saved so many people so much pain.
What I'm going to change it to is I'm going to call it my good poetry. Trick them into bringing what they think are really good poems, and then I'm going to criticize them just like.
Oh
just
my
like
gosh.
Just rip them a new one.
It's like punked for the poetry scene.
Yeah. Ashton Kutcher will also be there.
Oh no.
Oh.
Is he in a farmhouse somewhere? I don't know.
Who knows? Should we we should get to the scenes from an Indianapolis art museum, I think.
Yeah, I suppose.
So you were explaining before we started that this actually included some sections of it that you did farm out and have good reception to, and so we get the remains.
Bad stuff. Yeah, so I was saying that this poem is like 7 or 8 pages long, and it's just like all of these running notes of the various times that I used to live in Indianapolis, and we would go to the art museum, and I would like write down about things, like pieces of artwork that I liked, and then do like ekphrastic descriptions of them. Very early, I think maybe the second or third poem that I ever had accepted was 3 of these like linked together.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's still one that I look back on and I'm like, that was fine. And I also think it was like maybe my first print publication
Ooh, that's
of a
exciting.
journal that is of course not around anymore because it's been, 10 or 11 years. So definitely not still running. I do have to say, before I read this, these are not the fault of the artist.
Okay. Disclaimer for the artwork. Okay.
Because one of the artists is 100% dead, and not only do we not know their name, they're not going to care. But I don't know about the other one, and I don't want them to feel bad. Not their fault. Okay, so this is 2 sections of scenes from the Indianapolis Art Museum. 1. Tim Hawkinson, Mobius Ship. The intersection of mathematics and literature, Escher's interpretation of the open ocean, alchemy transforming sea-soaked wood into the permutations of Ahab's seething mind. That's one of them. And then the other one is, I don't know, Roman numerals, what number is that, 11? Follower of Hieronymus Bosch, Christ in Limbo. One stoned man to another. What if he saw life the way it really is and it's us who are blind? Second stoned man. Nah, dude. I think I'd notice the giant dude chomping on me, even if I couldn't see it.
What?
Love it.
That's
Yeah. Explain
That's
yourself.
first question, how dare you? So the first one, that is a fun one called I Have Thesaurus.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a fun writing style called Owning a Thesaurus and finding all the big words. The art piece that it's written about is actually super cool. It's a wooden sculpture of a sailing ship, but are you familiar with the concept of a Mobius strip? Just the eternal visual medium or auditory medium. Like picture an infinity symbol, but it like wraps around itself. So it's a
Oh, that does not work at all.
no. Did
You're welcome.
You found a picture of it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
on the Indianapolis Museum of Art at Newfields.
Yeah.
It is so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So I apologize to the artist for this because like, there are lots of really interesting things that you could say about it. And I was just like, what if I found every word longer than 3 syllables and strung it together?
Why alchemy? Isn't that like changing things to gold?
Yeah, and this art is gold.
Is it?
No. No, it's not. It's made of wood. Again, big word. Also, I don't know if it's just because it was a sailing ship that I was like, what's the only thing that I know that has sailing ships in it? Probably Moby Dick. Let's just get that in there.
Well, it's better than, like permutations of Johnny Depp's seething mind or something.
Yeah.
Mobius kind of sounds like Moby Dick. Maybe word association?
Maybe. Giving 2014 me a lot of credit.
Again, stop tearing yourself down and take the compliment.
Just a very generous interpretation here.
Yeah.
Can we get to 11 here?
I'd rather not.
Okay.
Okay, so please, you tell me what you think is going on there.
I can't. Well, Christ in Limbo would be.
That's a very good point, Aaron. I never thought about it as Christ in Limbo.
So there is, if you're not a big theologian, this like portion in between when Jesus dies on Good Friday and is resurrected, where he's, bopping around. Technical theological term again.
Correct.
And one of the places that he bebops to is Limbo. So
for Catholic listeners out there, us Protestants, Limbo doesn't exist, but that's okay.
Purgatory.
Well, and also according to the current doctrinal shifts in the church, I believe it no longer technically exists.
Tell that to my grandfather.
I could be wrong. I have no idea.
No, I am not as up to date on current developments in theology as I should be. Anyway, back to this painting. If you're not familiar with Hieronymus Bosch, you probably are and just don't know it. The painter who has the very chaotic, is this Renaissance or too early to be Renaissance? 1450?
Yeah, that's Renaissance.
Okay. Like Renaissance.
Sorry,
painting
Renaissance.
Renaissance. Roll that up.
Renaissance.
Very chaotic, like scenes with all the people getting tortured, lots of nudity, lots of very surreal, like. So in the kind of center back of this painting is this massive, like, face with arms that's pulling its mouth open for people to chomp on. It is,
It's creepy.
very detailed. Yeah, go look up.
It's real
Hieronymus
nice.
Bosch.
I was worried I wasn't going to have any nightmares tonight. I was really scared that I wouldn't. But now I can.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, thanks. Wow.
Happy birthday.
So picked out just 2 random of these dudes that were being tortured and gave them some personality?
No, so I think this was not like, I changed the language for sure, but I did overhear 2 people like standing and talking about the painting and having the like kind of freshman dorm 2 a.m. conversation about like, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Like, what if our eyes all see different colors? And we just all call the same one green? Again, I am almost positive that I changed the language, but they were having some kind of conversation to the effect of like, what if that's real and this is fake?
Okay, so it's not even an ekphrastic, it's a found poem of the conversation?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, when I hear this, when I read it, or when you read it, and it said one stoned man to another, I thought it was
the best poem you'd ever heard. Every time you mute, I just get to finish your sentence.
Yep, correct.
You were like, this is the best thing I've ever read. And you immediately started cross-stitching it into a pillow to display in your home.
Only if it has the backdrop of that dude with the big mouth eating people.
I thought one stoned man was someone who was killed, like stoned to death. So they were killed for their blasphemy, and now they're in limbo together. And they're talking about, like, Jesus preaching to them at this moment. I was interpreting it as 2 tortured souls in limbo talking to one another within the painting.
I like that interpretation better.
You didn't catch that from Nah Dude?
Nah, dude.
Yeah, you look at the people in this painting.
But I also thought maybe this is a very stretched allegory of the two criminals on the cross on either side of Christ with the save yourself.
Except that they weren't stoned. They were
No, that's why I was confused.
Yes, that's the reason. So I see that interpretation, especially in the context of, because one of the things that Jesus is fairly famous for is intervening in a stoning. So I get that. No, that is more thought than I gave this. So
I like that concept of two people talking and just, I don't know. I feel like somebody who is stoned looking at this painting would not be having a lovely day.
No. Yeah, if you have not seen any of Hieronymus Bosch's work, I really encourage you to go look at it because it's upsetting.
Yeah. Maybe with a glass of wine or something calming. Nice herbal tea.
It's upsetting in a way that I do not find Dali upsetting. Like, he was a bad person, but I don't find his work as upsetting as Bosch.
Sure.
Is that going to be my cancelable take of the episode, that Dali was a bad person?
Oh, yeah.
Shall we cover Hibernation?
Oh,
I saw you doing edits, like trying to move it to the next page. Are you trying to hide it from us?
Please don't look. Okay, gotta read it with no context. That's the rule. I feel like this is one I have to read with like a staffier tone. Hibernation. They say the dragons aren't dead, they're just sleeping. They hibernate in the depths of the Pacific, Mediterranean, Amazon. Ooh, say that word. Swathed in blankets of silk. Deep in every woman is stagnant water. Those things that are left unsaid, those things it's not polite to talk about, those things sunk by cost-benefit analysis. Unsaid truths that float festering, threatening to break open. What would be more dangerous to wake? Boom.
If it had the boom, I think it would be a phenomenal poem. I'm just saying.
An edit. Only edit needed.
Yeah?
Print it.
Yes. I like all caps boom, period. Not exclamation, period.
So this, I'm trying to think of when I wrote it. At some point I did like a 30-30 challenge with a women's group, and there was like a prompt every day, and everybody just like put their poem that they wrote in the shared document, and like no constructive criticism, like just girl power encouragement. And yeah, I was hoping that context would be enough to like maybe explain away that like the fourth wave girl boss vibe of this. But it reads like the website manifesto for a women-owned like athleisure company.
That is specific and accurate.
You're being far harsher on this poem than I think I would be, and I love it. Can't you just picture going to the website for like shewear? And
yeah,
that's probably a real company, so I should be very good.
But yeah, what would be more dangerous to wake? And then it shows like a girl like jogging.
Yeah, like with one hand on the mountain.
Climbing the mountain for sure. Got to get that metaphor in there. Yeah.
But
you could read this as like an ad read, like over a commercial. Like they say the dragons aren't dead.
Right, and then she climbs the mountain.
Yeah,
and then
they're just
sleeping, and then she's like kayaking. Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone out there listening is an executive for a women's owned athleisure company, we have some copy for you.
There you go.
I mean, you've already critiqued this better than I ever could, and so I guess. I don't need to apologize, but deep in every woman is stagnant water? Ew.
Yeah. Called a period, Aaron. And...
yes.
Thank you for saying that, because that is exactly what I thought when you read it at first. And I'm like, I don't know if as a straight white man, I'm allowed to make that connection.
That's incredible. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't allowed to talk about other bodily fluids. So I gotta get some of it.
Gotta sneak it onto the show somehow.
You shall not be censored here. It's called a period. Well, I almost feel like that needs to end the show. I mean, like that's the period to this sentence here.
Today we learned about periods.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
Well, we've learned a lot today.
And now, as we wrap up Aaron's last show as host.
Yes. We end the words. We end each week with the words of a true poet. This is my swan song. Francis, how will you play? How will you play my tenure here out? What poem have you picked for us today?
So this is one. It was originally published in Peat Smoke. It's going to be in Best Microfictions. So I'm pretty pleased about. And it is in my collection, Text Messages from the Angel Gabriel. The Angel Gabriel says it's not a booty call if he doesn't have genitals, and he doesn't. He comes over at 3 a.m., pulls down his joggers, and shows me what he calls the light of pure goodness. The light seems mediocre at best, but I go along with it. The Angel Gabriel wants intimacy in these smallest hours of the morning, so we compare embarrassing adolescent photos, me with my self-cut baby bangs, him with his infinite number of eyes. He lays on my bed, head hanging over the edge, legs stretched up against the wall. We kiss once as sunrise checks its watch on the other side of the horizon, but the Angel Gabriel doesn't know how. He pulls his lips all the way back, meets mine with his perfectly straight, dry teeth. We lay side by side, and I fall asleep somewhere in the middle of the Angel Gabriel telling me which U.S. presidents are in hell, which is all of them. In the morning, the pillow still holds the indent of his head.
Wow.
I love that so much. That's so good.
There's a whole book of them.
That's awesome.
I am very excited for that book.
Yep.
Thank you. It has been, I think, my favorite just collection to work on, because it's kind of the arc of an initial visitation that kind of grows into a relationship and then falls apart.
Nice.
With just the angels bopping around trying to do human things.
And you said that's coming out in the next couple of months here?
May 14th.
Ooh.
May 14th.
Yeah.
Is there a way to pre-order that?
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please let us know, because I will be pre-ordering.
I appreciate that.
That's so cool and such an interesting concept.
Yeah.
I love it.
This has been My Bad Poetry.
Now go write some of your own bad poetry. Do we need to do a version where I read your lines?
I guess we need to, yeah.
Just for me to
so
get
you
to
get
practice.
used to it, get it in your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
New host Francis Klein here, letting you know this has been my bad poetry.
Now, make Aaron write something for this. I don't want to deal with this crap.
Rhyme free doesn't matter to me.